Sidharth Shukla, just 40, young, fit, in fact one of those super fit people, gone too soon, gone too young. His sudden death and the mystery behind it has now not just sent shockwaves around all his fans, his family, the entire film fraternity and everybody in Mumbai who knew him, but to generally normal young Indians wondering, is 30, 40 now the age that we'll have to worry about our hearts? Well, that suddenly has put the focus back on how really vulnerable our heart is. And I say our heart because Indians statistically now known to have weaker hearts. Is it because of our diet? Is it because of our routine? Well, all of that is what we are going to decode today. Sudden death in 40s, why is that happening? This is FYI, let's get into our explainer. In fact, when we look at this story, what's important to understand is this is not a one-off case. We pulled out for you some big names that have been talked about who suddenly died of heart attack at a very young age. Filmmaker Rituparno Ghosh, just 49. Director Kaushal, 49 as well. Actor Vivek Shauq, 47. Actor Amit Mistry, 47 again. Actor Inder Kumar, 44. Abir Goswami, just 37. Aarthi Agarwal, 31. And of course, then there is Sidharth Shukla, 40. Just 40. Well, we looked into some research and tried to understand why is it that Indians are said to be more vulnerable for heart diseases. And the data really is shocking to reveal to you are our hearts really weaker than compared to the world. Heart diseases in India are rising 5 to 10 years earlier than in any other population across the world. Mean age of the first presentation of heart attack is happening early to mid 50s as well, from 30 to 50. That's how broad the window has become now. And if you look at estimates at this point, compared to, we looked at a window and a broad window of over 3 decades, and we figured out that cardiovascular diseases are and linked mortality to it, that's people dying because of those, rose by 103% in men. And it rose to about 90% in women as well. 35% of first heart attack victims are under 35. That's what surveys are saying at this point. And this is not to scare you that everybody is vulnerable. This is to actually point out some data and statistics so that we can all together, along with scientists and doctors in the country, find out why this is happening. Increased rate of the coronary artery disease, that's CAD as it's known in India, is also quite phenomenal. Look at this data, for example. In India, CAD risks are 3 to 4 times higher than Americans. It's 6 times higher than the Chinese. It's 20 times higher than the Japanese. And then there is also a group of people, a subset, who are said to be at higher risk. If you fall under them, it is very important that you consult your doctor and take your health into your own hands now. Let's look at some risk factors now. Substance abuse tops that list. Excessive alcohol, smoking, said to be a major killer there. High blood pressure, high cholesterol levels as well. Lack of physical activities, diabetes. You might have it or you might have a family history of it. You have to be careful. And then, of course, there is poor diet. So all these things, if you fall in this category, means that you're already in a vulnerable group. But even if you're not, we try to understand from doctors, are there any telltale signs? Look at the cases right now that we are facing. You actually get to see that none of them had any previous disease, for example. We actually hear of stories of people dying in their sleep, suddenly fainting and never waking up again. So are there some telltale signs that you can watch out for? And this is very significant. It does not mean if you're young, you can ignore them at all. Look at this list carefully. If you have chest discomfort, and it is a broad term discomfort really, but it should go on to tell you that if you're not feeling very good, if you're feeling some palpitation as well, sit down, take note, call your doctor. Nausea said to be another telltale sign. Indigestion, A lot of people take it as just acidity, maybe heartburn as well, and they feel they've eaten something wrong, it'll pass. You have to consult your doctor and let people around you know that this is happening. Stomach pain, excessive stomach pain said to be another sign. Pain that spreads in the arm. Dizziness or light-headed feeling as well. The next one will shock you, it surely did shock me, which is throat and jaw pain. Who could tell that this is actually related to the heart? But it is. Unusually loud snoring. So this is something that your partner should be watching out for. It might also sound like gasping or choking at times. Sweating for no reason. And long-lasting cough, especially with a white or pink mucus, watch out for that. If you have swelling that you're seeing in your legs, your ankles and your feet, tell your doctor. Let them know and run some tests. Irregular heartbeat, of course, is there as well. So these are some of the things that you must keep in mind that we found out in our research as well. But what should you be doing? This is in no way to say or spread panic that everybody needs to be rushing to the doctors right now and getting all their tests done. But this is only FYI to give you information that can actually help make a decision. Let's go over to our panel now. We've got Dr. Sameer Gupta joining us, cardiologist, director at the Cardiac Cath Lab, Metro Group of Hospital. We've got Dr. Dheer Vidas, director and head, CTVS Fortis Hospital in Gurugram. We've got Dr. Balbir Singh with us, chairman and cardiologist at Max Hospital in Saket. And we've got Dr. Trupti Gilada with us also back on the program. She is from the Prince Ali Khan Hospital in Mumbai. I want to start with Dr. Singh first. Dr. Singh, it's very important to understand, and especially for our viewers watching right now, heart attack also right now is changing forms, right? It is no longer what we used to see in movies perhaps, which was somebody falling on the ground, holding their hand or feeling really uncomfortable suddenly. It is creeping in silently as well. So apart from the points that I just pointed out, what are some of the trends that you're seeing and what are you seeing in your hospitals when we look at younger people now reporting more and more cases?
Right. Thank you very much. And a very brilliant discussion on a heart attack. But when I got a call from you today, you said that if you can share some cases. You know, I didn't have to think which case I have to share because I had done just 1 hour back a heart attack at the age of 42. I had done another patient at 51 yesterday. So it is not rare. So if you ask me to share a case, I said, okay, today's case we'll share. So it is getting very common to have heart attacks at this age group. I did 6 months back a 24-year-old girl with a heart attack. So it's like going crazy.
Did you say 24? Did I hear you right?
24. Yes, 24. And then the questions were asked from her family, can we marry her now after this and that? So we are heading for trouble. We need to understand how to stop it. Yesterday's patient was 51 years old, and I asked him, do you have a family history? Because he came with pain. So I asked him, do you have family history? He said, yes, my father had it, but he had it at the age of 63. So I said, now it happens a decade earlier. If your father had it at 50, you will get it at 40. This is how it's happening because of many factors which have happened. The country has seen a big economic change, a lot of modernization, a lot of fast food, a lot of smoking, which is going to hit everybody in this young population. So we cannot say this was an isolated case, that Mr. Shukla died today is an isolated case. Any of the doctors can recollect, oh, okay, 2 days back I had a similar patient. So if you can permit me, I'll share you today's case because it gives an eye-opening.
Please go ahead, yeah.
It opens everybody's eyes at how these patients actually present. So if I look at today's case, this was a 43 years old gentleman had, can you see my slides now?
Yes, we can, yeah.
He had a history of chest pain and uneasiness. So he reached the emergency and we did an ECG and found it was a massive heart attack. And he won't believe it. He says, how can I have at this age heart attack? And I had to convince him, look, you have a heart attack, we have to take you straight to the cath lab and save your life. He did not agree. So I had got his wife there and then we pursued him to come to he said, make me sleep, then do everything that you can. We made him to go to sleep, took him to the cath lab, and this is what it was. See, this is a running film. I know it's difficult for me to tell you what happened, but if you see this film, This artery is the right artery. At this point, if you can see the pointer, this artery is blocked completely. It is 100% blocked. We passed in the wire, and you see after passing the wire, the artery has started opening, and we see this is the plaque here in the center, which is this narrowing. So these plaques rupture, form a clot, and cause a massive heart attack. After that, we put in a stent here, and after the stent, you see a normal-looking artery. His pain immediately settled. His ECG improved completely, and he's fine within minutes of this procedure. And the procedure took about 20 minutes was the total procedure time, but he was safe.
But you said 100% blocked, and you see a lot of plaque there. Is there a reason?
Yeah, so the plaque ruptures and forms a clot on top of it.
Yeah.
So once the clot forms, the artery becomes 100% blocked. So when a young person who's never had a block earlier, suddenly the artery becomes 100% blocked, there are no collaterals to protect his heart. They get a massive heart attack. Now this heart attack, some people can be fortunate to reach the cath labs, to reach hospitals which are nearby, like this person was working near a hospital and came to. So there was a common factor between these young people. He was a heavy smoker, drinker, and a very stressful job in marketing and sales. So all the combination of a young person smoking, coming with all these kinds of symptoms, but there are many who are not lucky. They would just drop dead. Or there would be many who would be far away from a good medical facility and may not reach. But there'll be some who will think this is gas and take antacids and antacid and be delayed in the diagnosis.
Right. Dr. Singh, thank you so much for sharing such a detailed presentation with us to make us understand how deep this problem is really. I want to go across to Dr. Dheer now. So Dr. Dheer, what should young people be doing? Firstly, like we pointed out, stop smoking. Take your health into your own hands and understand what it's doing to you. Just because you're young doesn't mean you can take risks anymore and you can push the boundaries in terms of how you're going with your day-to-day life, etc. But, you know, watching this right now, again, I just want to highlight, this is not to spread panic at all. Young people like me, people like my colleagues as well, who've recently, you know, had a heart attack, absolutely fit, no history, and suddenly this crops up. How should one be looking at this? Are there some tests that one can get done? Is there an indicator at least that you are perhaps more likely to get it than, say, the rest of the population?
Yeah, very correct. You have asked a very apt question, and even I would second Dr. Balbir right now. Even I have two patients. One is 33-year-old whom I did a bypass 2 days ago. He had two of his arteries which are 100% blocked. I could not share the slides because he is still in ICU and maybe tomorrow he will be shifted to the room. See, 33, the youngest patient which I have operated for bypass surgery is 28-year-old who has two arteries 100% blocked, and all of them had a very strong family history. So what I say is prevention is always better than cure. So there are telltale signs. First, most important is the family history, as you have covered up. The patients who have family history, and as with our own experience, even Dr. Balbir also shared that we are getting disease a decade earlier. So I have lot number of patients whose father I have operated, and within next 6 to 7 years I have operated both their sons even. So it is not alone. And you see, we take example of Mr. Shukla. He is from the industry and he was doing gymming and all that. He appears fit. So it is not what you appear from outside. What is happening inside is very deep within.
So how does one tap on to what's happening inside?
Yeah, so there are things. What happens is screening. We have some red flags. Red flags is, like you just pointed out, jaw pain. See, heart pain doesn't just affect on this, that you have a chest pain and it radiates to the hand. It happens only in 30% of the patients. In diabetics, it could be silent MIs. These are silent attacks. So you have to screen early. So what I say, everyone remembers to pay their EMI. Everyone remembers to pay their mobile bill. Why not, once you achieve an age of 30, on your birthday, get your blood test, get yourself screened by a physician who will listen and take your history appropriately, raise those red flags, which could be, sir, when I kick the scooter, I have some irritation on the neck.
I see.
Okay, that could be a first sign that he is having height. So they can go for, right now we have so much advanced. We can do a INT test. It's an ultrasound of the neck, and we can tell what is for next 5 years, what is the risk of him having a heart attack?
I've seen several cases where swelling or pain in the calf has indicated that there is a likelihood of a heart attack as well. Very important points over there.
It is not for heart attack. It is another entity where you have blood clot. These are young patients. They have high propensity of blood clot. So in Western UP, there is a subset of patients, means I have operated a lot of them. Their first thing is they come with limb swelling and they have massive clots in their legs and which go to the heart and they turn up into emergency with even in shock. We have to do their emergency surgeries. We have to remove those clots and it is life-saving. And these are patients who come in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
So it
Dr.
is
Veer, I'm just interjecting because I'm told I have to take a break at this point and I have other two panelists also waiting in. Quick break. When we come back, we'll also be talking about some more telltale signs and what is it that you can do to ensure you are not one of those who are suddenly taken by it and you can take your own health and your family's health in your own hand. That's coming up on the other side.
Okay.
Welcome back. Let's go back to our panel now. Dr. Tripti and Dr. Sameer Gupta with us as well. Dr. Tripti, your first thoughts. If you had to explain this to young people, there are two kinds really at this point in the country. There are those who are super fit, who are going vegan, who exercise every morning and are trying all sort of diets, etc., just to keep themselves fit. And the other who say, well, I don't know what's happening, might as well just go ahead and do it. I'm young, I don't care. What is the middle path? What is a balanced way of looking at heart diseases in young Indians?
So non-communicable diseases, as we call them, NCDs, actually have caused a lot of collateral damage in the COVID era, especially in the last 1.5 years, where people have forgotten that there are diseases other than COVID and are not accessing healthcare. The other thing is because of the lockdowns, people have just given up on physical activities. You know, they've always found a reason of not doing it. So the one thing that we really are appealing to young people and old people alike is get back to your physical activities. It just requires around 20 to 30 minutes of aerobic exercises, which can be jogging, skipping, running, cycling, anything that's possible in the open air for 20 to 30 minutes. And along with that, if you've been thinking of quitting smoking, it's an absolutely brilliant time. You know, this is the time you should quit smoking. We are seeing the damage for COVID and other infectious diseases and so much more for non-communicable diseases.
Right. Dr. Gupta, your thoughts?
You know, I think this is a great topic that you're talking about, because I would agree with what Dr. Balbir and Dr. Veer said, that every day on my table, there is somebody who's less than 40 every day. It's a no-brainer, right? I mean, you're seeing somebody 25, 30. And we often talk about bad lifestyle. And I would just like to reiterate what bad lifestyle does. You know, if you're smoking 10 cigarettes a day, you're increasing the risk of heart disease or heart attack by 50%. 50%. You know, when we talk about food, you know, the amount of fruits, vegetables that we're taking is reduced drastically in our diet. By making some of these changes, you can really live a longer life, lead a better and healthier life. You know, there are a lot of unique factors which are there in India as compared to the other group of people. One is called the thin fat phenotype, which is very prevalent in India. What that means is, even though most people in India are thin, you know, the arms and legs are thin, they have a pot belly, the tones, the punch, that you call it. And that is kind of more exclusive in the Southeast Asian population. And we know that the fat deposition there increases the risk of heart disease, heart attack.
We seem to be having some audio trouble with Dr. Gupta's line over there. We'll try and fix that, but I'm afraid that's all the time we have on the program today. Thank you all so much for joining us on this very pertinent issue. This is just information. This is just FYI for you to know. You must consult your doctor before you take any action in this regard. But I think what everybody agrees with at this point is that you have to make your health the center stage of your life now, and both physical and mental, and try and work towards it. That's it from today. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.